Welcome to yet another mentoring session.
Oh,
To all those new people who just came in for our mentoring session for the first time, we are integrated MLAI and we believe in growing more together. That's our logo. And today we have Curtis with us from being a football player and now being a top writer at towards data science. He is a self-taught ML engineer, working for 3 years now. He works as a freelancer, write posts, mentors people, and has a hobby of playing football still. That is the question mark that we'll get to know from him. And this stage is yours, Curtis, and we are willing to listen to you. Thank you for joining us today. You're muted.
uh, thank you, and thank you very much for having me, everybody. Really nice to meet you all. Um, yeah, so we'll just talk slowly through like my journey a little bit, and let me 1 second. I've got a little structure here that will help me out as a guide. Um, and by the way, Tom, no, it's not quite evening yet. It's 5 p.m. over here, so nearly. Sorry, 1 second. Boom. Let's go. So I'll talk you guys a little bit through how I got into machine learning, and then I'll slowly branch onto a bit about my blogging career, my freelance career. Then we'll talk about the importance of projects and just generally like my journey and how your journey can also work out some bit as well. But before I start, there was something really interesting I saw on Twitter this morning, and I shared it with my LinkedIn community. I'm just going to share my screen and show you guys that now. It's a bit counterintuitive to the name of the group, but I'll touch up on my understanding of what I've taken from it. So I believe I've got 20 minutes to do everything, right, Manpreet?
You have all this session. It's an interactive session. You can go
Oh,
on and we can keep interacting.
okay, cool. See, so I was showing this tweet this morning. It says like, I get about 20 people asking a day if I'll be their mentor. Let me let you in with a secret. Most of you are probably better developers than I am. A social media following does not mean I'm an amazing developer. It means I'm a good marketer. So I really just wanted to make that declaration before I jumped into anything so that nobody looks at me and start thinking that I'm a Martian with like 2 or 3 heads, because absolutely anybody here that's in this conversation could be the one sharing today. Fortunately, I was the one that was invited and I'm the one doing it. I could easily be the one sitting down listening to what everyone else has got to say. Um, so I'm glad it is interactive and people can engage because I don't really feel comfortable just like battling, throwing things at everybody and stuff like that. But yeah, that was just really important to me. Like, I feel like what helped me the most in my career is at one point I had somebody that showed me how to believe in myself. And if we can get that out of this session, if there's a little thing that I want to get out of this session by sharing my story, is that if you can believe in yourself, then you are already anything that you wish you could be. And I don't I don't want this to go too much into like some, what's the word? Uh, some motivational speech or something like that. But this is
TED
literally
Talk.
what I stand by. Yeah. This is literally what I stand by now. So I got my first job as a machine learning engineer as an intern in 2019. Prior to 2019, I was working as a postman. But what a lot of people don't know, some people may know it, is before that, I was actually a member of a cult in London, a religious cult, for 4 years. For 4 years. And towards the back end of my time there, I started to question myself about things like, what is it that I want to do? What do I want? What is it I'm interested in? What are things that I really want to like do with myself going forward? Because I'm not sure if anybody's experienced the cult. And if you haven't, I'm not advising you to go and try it out. is definitely not something that I'd recommend. But I was in one of these things and I started to think about my future and question myself. And I started to realize that something that I'm really interested in, or something that really grabs my attention, is being able to exert myself without physically using my body. So I was going to my job as a postman, and yeah, I don't know if you guys know what the weather's like in London, but it's bipolar. One day is up, one day is down, one day is up, one day is down. And I think my final straw was one day I was doing the rounds and it started to snow and my fingers had frostbite. But we have little letterboxes here. When you're putting the letterbox through, one of the letterboxes caught my finger and it was already freezing because it was snowing. So I was just like, no, I've had enough. I was already in a mode where I was just listening to lots of podcasts and seeing where I could take my career from there. And I'd come across a Bill Gates not a podcast, but it was like a question and answer setting. And someone asked him, if you never founded Microsoft, what is it you'll be doing? And his response to that question was, I would be involved as a researcher in AI, specifically NLP. He thinks that teaching computers to read text and things like this is something that's a phenomenal problem and blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I decided, you know what, I'm going to look into this. So that day, as you can imagine, I was extremely frustrated. I went home and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, not happening. I'm never going to be an AI researcher, blah, forget it. Then I went into work, I think, for about 3, 4 days. And then the week later, I went in and I had an emergency meeting with my manager, and he told me, we don't need you anymore. And because I was an agent, they was allowed to say that, and I dismissed immediately. So I didn't even work that day. I went in the morning, and he told me, I'm not needed, and I went home. That was it. And from there, it was like I felt as though I had no other choice but to do this thing because what have I got to lose now? I don't have a job. I'm in a cult. I'm on the fringes of a cult, but I'm already at this point making my way out. But I just see no clear future of how I want to see my life. And so I just started working on, I started basic. I was already quite decent at maths in school, but I left school age 15 because I'd been offered a professional football contract. So education, I didn't really care about it at that time. But one thing that was good about me is that I always knew how to get what I wanted. And by that, I mean, if I say that I'm really interested in learning something or doing something, I'll put everything to it. So I learned the maths, learned the Python, learned everything. And then in June 2019, I got my first job as an intern, as an ML engineer. I don't want to go too much into what I done and how I done it, because that's not the key thing that I'm trying to put across to you guys here. The key thing, remember I said, is I really want people to just realize if you could believe in yourself, all the things that you think is blocking you right now is minute, is really not something that is an issue or something that would worry you if you just realize, you know what, I can do this. It's just going to take a bit of dedication, a bit of time. And my job now, this is my first time in tech. I don't know a thing about tech. And so people are, my job there, well, at least I felt like my job there was to listen to everybody else, hear how people talk, hear how people carry themselves and maneuver and everything like that. But here's another important thing. It wasn't, okay, wait. I want to be careful about how I say this because I don't want to sound like I'm bad mouthing anybody. The company hadn't prepared to hire anybody for artificial intelligence or to integrate data-driven decisions into their company. So I was there for design. They really needed new investment and they've hired a new AI guy investment. I hope you get what I'm saying now. So a lot of the times as I was going into the office, I actually had nothing to do. But my manager, who was really, really the one pushing for everything for me to get in there, he just said to me, Curtis, have you ever heard of something called medium.com? And thanks, Tom. My manager at the time, he really believed in me. I don't know what the guy saw, honestly. He was so strange, like, but I love him for it because he pushed me. He told me, "Have you heard of medium.com?" I said, "No." He was like, "Why don't you start writing on medium.com?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can, but why?" Sort of thing, like blase, blase. And one day he asked me to explain something to him. And I tried to explain it, and I realized I didn't actually, as much as I thought that I had the concept or the understanding of everything that I was saying, I couldn't put that across effectively to him. And he's not a technical guy. He doesn't know how to program. He doesn't know how to do anything. So after that meeting, he was just like, "I think you should blog. It will help you to put your ideas down." So that day, I went home. I wrote my first blog. It was trash. It was terrible. I think I I took it down like what uh 2 3 3 about 3 weeks after I wrote it up. I took it down straight away. But I was consistent with it. I said, you know what, for 2 months, I'm gonna just write an article a week and get it out there because I really did feel that release, that breakdown of my thought process coming along as I was doing it. And then I found out about there was a partner program or something like that. And then little did you know you can get a little bit of a cash payment at the end of it. Like, so I was like, okay, this is reasonable. I mean, I'm not doing it for no reason. There is a reward if I'm consistent. So I learned a bit more about things in the field and started writing a bit more. And for some weird reason, I was scared to post on LinkedIn. This is gonna sound crazy. I was extremely frightened to post on LinkedIn. Not because I was scared what people say about my blogs, is because I was scared of what my colleagues will think of me. Um, I thought that my colleagues would look at me and be like, "Why is this guy acting like he's super smart when I sit with him every single day?" And he's not like that in real life. And da 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 da. That was honestly my biggest fear. Um, I was extremely frightened. But one day I said, you know what? I'm going to post this article and I'm going to close my computer and I'm going to just play games. I'm going to play games for the rest of the day. I done that and it blew up. Like I had like 100 likes on my post on LinkedIn. And remember, I had like these times I had like maybe 300 connections. So I was like, whoa, like I didn't think it was that great. I think I wrote about the confusion matrix or something like that then. Yeah, that's what it was. I was breaking down the confusion matrix and it got a lot of recognition. I was like, all right, fine. Like I didn't know. But little did I know, a week or so before, oh, well, not a week or so before, it was like 2 weeks later, after my first article had been published, we'd been hit with a national lockdown in the UK. Oh, well, it was a global pandemic, but the whole of the UK was locked down. And I was one of the first people to be furloughed in the company because, well, I wasn't doing anything there, if I'm honest. um, when I was furloughed, at that point, I was just like, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to really like crack down and just, learn as much as I can. But at the same time, I was gaining quite a bit of traction from posting my stories on LinkedIn. And then, so I was just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I post 2 articles a week and share them on LinkedIn. And then I'm also going to study like new topics so that I'm always constantly learning something new. And I done that from March was the beginning of the lockdown till August. Yes, till August. That was the official end of the lockdown in the well, the first bit of the UK. Yeah. And so I done that. And then I by the time August had hit now, I felt not like a celebrity, but let me not get ahead of myself because I definitely don't feel like a celebrity. But I'd grown my LinkedIn account from about 300 connections to about like 2,000 within that time period, just from sharing one article a week. And so I was like, do you know what? If I focused on this a bit more because I still at this point didn't feel like I was fully committed to everything I was doing. I was just doing it. And I was like, if I fully committed, maybe this could be something I could, carry on with. But I was still very shaky about it. Something I didn't share with you guys, by the way. At the beginning of the year, one of my goals was to leave my current job so that I can switch into a new role at another company. But I was scared. I never felt like I had the skills to make the transition from my company where I wasn't doing anything to a company where I'm going to really do stuff. So I was, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so I'll just go back to where I'm going. By the end of August, September has come now, and it's time for a review. And I got made redundant. The company called me and said that, look, their finances aren't good, things are going well. And I was totally understandable of it. But for me, this was my greatest sign that I had to just take the leap. And I don't know why this has happened to me, but I feel like at every point where I know it's time for me to move on, something always happens like a burn the boat moment. Like I just go in, I lose my job, or here I get made redundant, I do this. So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. The minute I got made redundant, I committed myself to writing more articles and just learning more and making sure that I can build up like a little profile for myself so that I can apply for new jobs. I kid you not. About a day later, the day after I was made redundant, I had like 5 inbox messages saying, like, with opportunities. Do you want to work for us? We've got this job available. We've got this job available. We've got this job available. And I was just like, what the hell is going on, man? Um, but I saw it as an opportunity. I really wanted to learn deep learning. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll take this job. I obviously looked around and saw which one I thought was best for me and could work for me the most. So I took the ones that I wanted, and I proceeded to learn my deep learning. So in the morning, I'll commit myself to like finishing work for clients, and then in the evenings, I would like continue studying and learning more like deep learning things. And with like the rest of the time that I had after the working hours, like the normal 9 to 5, I would write more articles and just continue publishing. At this point, I said, yeah, this is what's working for me. I'm going to start publishing 3 times a week. So I continued doing that, and more and more clients started coming in. So when people ask me, how do you break into freelancing? I'm just like, you've just got to share what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. It doesn't matter if you're right. In fact, there was times where I posted stuff and I wanted to be wrong because there was an article I wrote. You guys are gonna laugh. I wrote an article about linear regression, and I got some of the assumptions of linear regression wrong. Linear regression. I'm not talking about XGBoost, no decision tree, random forest. I'm talking about linear regression, one of the simplest machine learning algorithms. And I got caned on LinkedIn. Like there was one guy, I'm not sure if you guys would have come across this guy, but he's like, he loves statistics and he just loves statistics. So if you say anything wrong about it, he's gonna jump on you. So he jumped on me and my comments were filled up like, yeah, this is what's happening when you write stuff wrong. But this was a changing point in my perception of things, because I didn't take the criticism from people as I'm not good enough. I actually felt like people wanted me to become better. And that's generally how it seems. When you put yourself out there, I feel like another one of the fears that people have with doing it is they don't acknowledge that if someone critiques you, it's not because they feel like they're better than you or smarter than you. It's just they want you to be better. And the moment I realized that from that scenario, like from that little let's call it a transaction that occurred, everything started to change. My approach to how I do things, my stance on how much I devote myself to my articles and whatever I'm learning and all of these things, because I wanted to be better for real, just because of that criticism. And by the time it's come to like the end of the course, I took the Coursera specialization in deep learning. And by the time it's come to the end of the course, I was really weighing up my options and thinking, what should I just do? Like, I really don't know what I should be doing with myself. Um, so the course is done now, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna apply for jobs. I kid you not. I applied for about 2, 3 weeks, and I was just like, what am I doing? I done an evaluation of my accounts just to see like, does it make sense for me to like get a job and all these things now? Like, not does it make sense for me to get a job, but can I sustain myself? I didn't even realize that all of the freelance work that I was doing at the time was actually paying me a lot more than what my current job was doing. Like when I had a job as a intern ML engineer, I didn't realize that I'd surpassed that salary like a good 2, 3 months of like of not being employed, because I was always just thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So my mind was in the future. But that moment, that key moment, allowed me to bring my mind back into the present and just appreciate what I had then. And from there, I was just like, you know what? I'm a freelancer and I'm a machine learning engineer. This is how I'm going to put myself out there. And as if I continue to do this, more people will just keep coming to me. So the time's gone on now. And obviously now I feel like I'm a bit more clear on what I am doing, and we're at this present moment. So I'll talk to you a little bit about like the importance of projects and like how, just for your career now, like for those who are like probably still at the beginning of their careers. Um, in that story, I hope everybody was able to catch that part where I said, I just shared. I didn't necessarily have a plan. I just done it. Because that's the key thing now. Like I feel when people are looking for jobs, they're doing everything that they, oh God, there's a fly. um, when people are looking for jobs, they begin to tailor everything they do just to look for a job. And they miss the key element of becoming a data scientist, ML engineer, data engineer, and all of this. And that's learning. Is gonna sound extremely dumb, I think. I feel like it sounds dumb, but I really hope I'm trying to get like I'm getting my point across. Is you're not trying to get a job, you're trying to learn a skill. Does that make sense? If you look at it as that, the whole job element becomes kind of irrelevant because the job will come when you've got the skills, if you want it. Does that make sense? Right. So before, where I accidentally wrote blogs and ended up becoming a freelancer, from that experience, I was able to realize that it's just about creating tangible things that are valuable for the community. And I feel like in the whole of the tech world, we use words that make things sound like they're so much more complex than what it is. Like someone was like, if you really want to become a data scientist, you have to contribute a lot to open source. I didn't know all he meant was you just have to share what you're learning. If he said it like that, I would have been like, oh, okay. But why the complexity? That's why the complexity. But the moment I realized it's just sharing what you're doing. So now, sorry, I keep deviating. I feel like there's always that point at the beginning of the phase of your learning career or of your break into data science where it's like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. And that's totally fine. I feel like you should go through that like, while sharing what you're doing. And I feel like now I'm at a stage where it's like, now I know what I'm doing. And I've got this fundamental base or this foundational base of what I've learned from the I don't even know what the hell I'm doing stage. And now I've got this, I know where I want to go, but I haven't quite got these skills yet. So now it's more of a, how can I tailor myself to learn the skills that I need to learn to get to where I want to go, using the skills that I've picked up by accident from doing what I need to do. I hope I haven't lost people with that. But the main gist is I've got a set of skills. I know where I want to go now, but with what I've got, how can I take myself there? And that is what your project is. Your project is not to land you a job. Your project is to take you towards where you want to go with your career. And the thing is, I don't feel like you need to know that from the beginning of your career. I would actually advise people, just contribute. Do what you can to share what you're learning, and make sure you share what you're learning, and eventually you will catch on to where it is you want to go, and things will flow naturally into it. So again, I'll just back to where I started from at the very, 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 very beginning of everything I was saying. I don't feel like I'm more qualified than anybody that's in this chat right now to be doing or sharing or talking or anything. I don't feel like I'm more qualified than anybody. If anything, if we look at my credentials academically or experience wise, I'm most probably not. I, you know, after 15, everything else I done from there was just football. So in all of that, I'm saying if you're willing to not worry about embarrassing yourself a little bit by just sharing something, just share something you've learned, you will absolutely get yourself to wherever it is you want to go. If you're focused on how can I develop myself and not on how can I break in, how can I get this job, how can I do this, if it's always about how can I become better, you would always, 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 always get what you want. And I feel like that's been my journey till now. It's just I know what I want. At all times, I know what I want. Well, maybe not at the beginning stages, but I know ideally how I want things to look. Still now, I know I'm not currently working or doing the projects that I ideally want to be doing. How do I take myself from that phase to the next phase? And I feel like some people are looking at me because it's like, I thought you're going to talk about projects, like as in like end to end project or something like that. Not necessarily. Yes, you should do those projects, but that's if your mind is fully set on just doing that project, you're gonna miss the bigger picture of everything, which is how am I gonna get myself to where I want to go? Am I making sense? So boy, I really would like to go on, but I feel like now I've just poured out everything that I really wanted to share. So I don't know what what I do next.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. It was such a nice story that it caught all our interest, and I think somewhere down the line we all feel the same or have gone through some of the same phases. Well, we have some questions hand raised. So Kimberly, you can go first.
Thank you. So first, Curtis, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's huge to hear people, especially I think people that are considered like up there and have lots of followers and like considered experts. Oh, I know you don't consider yourself that, but I think that for other people, it's like, oh, you know, he's human like me. He's just, you know, he's learning just like me. And I wondered if you could share with everybody, because I feel like this is something that a lot of people experience, how you pulled yourself out every time the scenario in your life seemed to go badly. You know, like you got the job, you lost the job, you thought you were doing something, you didn't know what you were doing. What was the conversation inside your head to give yourself the motivation and the inspiration to carry on and to keep with things and to constantly stay positive? Thanks.
Oh God, that's a very good question. Looking at it in hindsight, I'll probably make it sound like a wow, oh my God, you thought like that. But in the moment, I was probably pissed. Like in the moment, I was probably like, what the hell am I gonna do? But I'm not one to dwell on things. I'm very let me just get things done sort of guy. And where I was already doing something that was working, like people that was on LinkedIn wouldn't have known that I'd just been made redundant unless I shared it. I was still getting hundreds of connections every day, hundreds of people following me every day. And that was because I was sharing valuable stuff that I was learning, not stuff that I wanted to, try and show off to show that I'm super smart or something like that, because I'm really not. I'm just on my journey learning day by day. And by that time, I felt a responsibility to people now, because people are actually coming to me asking me questions like, how do I break into data science, or how do I break into X, Y, and Z? And it almost felt like I have to do this now because people are counting on me. So I again, yeah, in hindsight, I feel like I make it sound like a superhero story, but in the moment, I was definitely broken.
Thank you so much for it. Was so insightful. Like you mentioned in your talk that you never plan things and it just went that way. So do you think when you plan things, you create like a path and you work on it, but when it's unexpected, you choose to explore yourself more, uh, and you try out new things. So how important is to, experiment and try out new things, and how has it had benefited you?
Well, the data science field is such a large field. It will be extremely hard for anybody that has come from a place of no knowledge to say, this is what I want to do, because the field is massive. So I feel like for anybody that wants to break into data science, it's fine to explore. It's fine at the beginning. Okay, this might be bad advice, actually. No, let me not say that. I was gonna say it's fine at the beginning to be kind of like a jack of all trades, but at the same time, it's not, because you want to direct your career in some sort of way. But okay, let me put it like this: it's fine at the beginning to see people that you admire and copy them. That's what I should say. You know, I don't know if Tom told you at the beginning of the conversation, but I'd been following Tom for months, and we connected. And so then one time I was just, after like following him for some time now, I just reached out to him and I said, can we catch up on a call? And I was so surprised. He said yes. And we spoke that day, and I was just like to him, so what does it take to become a good data scientist? Because I really wanted to understand how to think and how to act, how to conduct myself, and how to maneuver across the field, because I really didn't know. And Tom is not the only person I've done that with, but by just watching and observing others that I felt like I wanted to model, that I wanted to be like, slowly, like little changes were happening in my life where I'll just naturally be directed. So it wasn't as random as it may seem, because there was definitely people that I'll look at and say, wow, I like this guy. I want to be like this guy. And I will follow them for some time. I wouldn't message them straight away. I'll just read, what are they posting constantly? What's the message this person is saying? And from there, like, gradually it will step. So it wasn't as unplanned as maybe I made it sound, but yeah, there is some sort of, there's an element at the beginning phase where it's like, I don't know where the hell I'm going, and I just need to find someone who is in a position where I could probably connect to. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a next question from Dennis, named as Private. He'll be taking up the next question. Dennis, you are on mute.
Hold up. Get
Oh, it's again on mute.
Is my mic
Yeah.
on?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. So Curtis, can you hear me?
Is this you?
Yeah, that's me.
Hello.
So I've been listening. Now, I'm both an AI fan, and I'm also very intrigued by football.
Oh, wow.
So let me put my question this way. You probably have unusual visual intelligence, and you know it. If you're when you played football when you were 15, you would be on the field. You can see things very quickly. You can put them together. You can say, "Oh, he's going there. I'm going there. I'm getting the ball here." So there's a lot of intelligence involved in football, and it's visual intelligence. It's visual, and you have to go super fast. It's not like us. We're sitting at our laptop and we're saying, okay, how am I going to develop this equation? Let me go get some tea and come back. No, you have to make a decision in a split second. So at an age when intelligence reaches its peak, when we're teenagers, you were doing visual exercises at full speed because you liked it. Whether you succeeded in that career, it doesn't matter. You had a talent. So what I hear in your story is that you're unusually intelligent, and everything was very easy. See what I mean? So you might be careful in the future when you're giving advice, because since you're more intelligent than the average person, it is easy, because AI is a lot about visualization. It's a lot about seeing distances between objects, about, deep learning and seeing layers. So you have an incredible visual intelligence. And now I've always wondered about this, because I've seen these soccer players, because I live in France and we have some incredible soccer players, and I can see, like Mbappe, I can see that he sees faster, or Messi, he sees faster than others. Tell me how that relates. Now that I told you this and you can think about it, how does that, because I'm skipping the fact where you went from one job to another. 1 out of 1,000 people can do that. The other people will end up picking up garbage, like me probably. If I tried to jump around like you did, I'd be picking up garbage right now. So somewhere you have unusual talent, and it was very, I'm not saying it was easy, but it was easier for you than others because of that visual thing. So when people speak to me about soccer players, I say, what are you talking about? Because they talk on TV like they were 6-year-olds, but then when they're on the soccer field, they look like Einstein, because they're thinking at full speed and they're making these decisions that are incredibly complex. When you see Messi going through 5 players and they don't even see him come, how does that relate? That's what this is the first time in my life that I have the opportunity to see someone that went from soccer to a spiritual activity to AI, which is my field. And I want your impression on that. When I look at soccer players, I see your intelligence, and now I'm not surprised at all at what you're doing. So explain, how did that help you? How did you feel? And don't be modest, please. I know that when you're 15 on a soccer team, you feel like God. So be God for 5 minutes and tell me how that visual intelligence can help.
Right. I had this conversation with my manager at one point, actually. He asked me about, like, how did you improve? Because another thing I didn't tell people here is, have you heard of Tottenham Hotspurs FC?
Do you have a what?
Have you heard of Tottenham Hotspurs Football Club?
No.
Tottenham, the football club.
Oh yeah, Tottenham. Yeah. Tottenham. Okay.
That was who I made my debut against. When I was 17, right? So I'll break down how you get those pictures on the football field, and then I'll try. I really don't know the answer, but I would try to.
I'm sure you know the answer.
But
you're not going to play Columbo. You know Columbo, the detective?
Yeah.
You're not going to play Columbo on me. I know you're very intelligent. So just tell me how this is possible, how you do it.
When you're playing football, impressions are made on your mind, but they're the same impressions throughout the whole week. So as you can imagine, Monday to Saturday when we're playing a game, you're receiving pictures into your head every single day. So when you get onto the pitch, it's almost like I don't need to look to see that my teammate is there, because I've seen him there in my mind. We practiced Monday to Friday to see where people are. And a special thing that I used to do that used to help me specifically, and I say this because I was a bit more advanced for my age when I was playing football. I told you I made my debut at 17.
I think you're a bit more advanced than everyone at your age, but you can go on.
Thank you.
You can go on trying to be modest.
But what I meant by that is, at 15, I was playing with the older age groups, and when I was my age, when I was meant to be playing with my age, I was playing with, again, the elder age groups, which was happened to be the first team, and I ended my career by choice. I didn't get released or anything. I actually said I don't want to extend my contract. I want to look for myself, sort of thing. And sorry, the thing that I would do to help myself to that would give me an edge over people. I used to watch football, but imagine myself in the shoes of the player that I'm watching. So when I'm watching Barcelona play football, I don't care about anyone else in the team. I'm putting my body into Messi's body and trying to think, when he's looking out of his eyes, what is it he could see around him? And when we now, like that, so from doing that, slowly but surely you start picking up on the signals, the trigger signals that he will see. This is the time to dribble because there's a lot of green grass in front of me. This is the time to pass because I can see someone is about to release themselves and try and close me down. Or this is the time to do a diagonal pass. He never passed it straight, never passed it square. He always passes diagonal. Or if he's going to pass straight, it's going to be a wall pass where he can receive it back. Cool. But learning those things there, I said, okay, if I can put myself in the body of a footballer, I can put myself in anybody's body. So when I was saying that I was watching Tom, I was really just trying to pick up, how does Tom think, so that I can put my body, or put Tom's brain in my brain and try to navigate the world like how Tom did. So I would read up and try and pick up on the signals, like what is the message he's trying to get across? Because it's obviously resonated with me, because I feel like this is what we've got some sort of like connection. We've connected in some way where his message resonates with me enough. So if I can adopt his message by putting my body or putting his brain in my head, because now we're no longer playing football, so I can't put my body in his body. I just take his brain out and put it in my head. And then I try and, with his brain, look at the world now.
Okay,
And,
so let me sum this up, and I'm pretty sure everyone's going to understand this. So listening to you, I was pretty sure I would get this kind of answer. Okay, so what I'm saying is, when you were 15, no matter what you were doing, you were able to create a knowledge base by what you were observing. So you're creating a data set. Since now you're doing data science, and I can speak in that language. So what you were doing is you were creating a data set with all these images of pictures of all these soccer games. You created the data set. Since you have unusual intelligence, which I see in a lot of people like you when they're 15 and they do things like that, you were able to make sense of those pictures and create patterns. So actually you were an AI agent. You were like an AI agent going through pictures, finding patterns, and then you did something else. You created, because in machine learning and statistics, you create cognitive rules. You created rules like that, which means that after that, you're a replicant. You're an AI replicant. You can take anybody, listen to this person speak, and identify, store these people, anybody, store them in a data set, and then you can extract the patterns, the rules, and then after you can reproduce the person like a machine learning algorithm and say, if this happens, I can do that. I can be Tom, I can be Dennis, I can be anyone. So actually you're just a natural AI observer, which is why it was so easy for you to go from there to there, because some of the things you brought up take 10 years, 15 years for a lot of other people. So since you're young, you have to just realize that you're some kind of young giant. You're gonna have to be careful when you're talking to people, because they can't do what you do. It's like Mbappe, when he was hired, the coach all French TVs were in his city, and the coach said, "Go away. This guy's 1 in a million. I'm not going to produce another one in my life. There's just one of them. So just go away. You'll never find another Mbappe, like you'll never find another Pelé. You won't find another Messi. We're talking about 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million. You're somewhere in AI, you're like 1 in 100,000, because you can naturally take a data set, extract the patterns and the rules, and reproduce them. So you're all set, my friend. And maybe you should exploit this far more than, you can exploit it to an extent you haven't exploited yet. You could even write an article like, pattern recognition in human behavior, because that's a recommender in transformers. A transformer can pick up all the information and your behavior on YouTube and all that. You're just a born recommender, which means that you can take anything people do and their behavior somewhere and then recommend something. That's, you have quite a path there. Because I'm very admirative of football players and the way, because I know what they appear like is not what they are. So thank you. I just popped in, I was working and I just wanted to listen to what people are saying. I like that. I like to listen to people talk about anything. I'm like you. I just pick up a lot of stuff just listening. So thank you.
I've never thought of it like that, if I'm totally honest. Yeah.
Well, think about it now, because it's worth a lot of money. Replicate what I just said. Think about it. Write it down on a piece of paper, like you observe people, you draw patterns, you draw rules, and then you can be someone else or act like someone else or something else. That's the basis of AI.
That's his next article.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, and nice to meet you. That's what this thing is all about. Thanks to Mr. Tom Eyes up there.
I got to warn everybody. Well, Curtis, in Britain, tea happens. But right now in France, soup is about to happen. And that's when we lose our beloved Dennis.
You're going to lose me in 5 or 10 minutes, because it's going to be soup time. And it's a religion in my family. We never miss dinner together. Soup. And now I have my son here with, we have some family. I never miss soup, never. And I never have. I'm Mr. Soup Man. My talent is eating soup in family.
That was such a good question and interpretation that even shows, Dennis, that you also study human pattern and so many people out there in the community. Well, we have a next question from Magdi.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you to Curtis, because it was so truly inspirational what you said. I mean, for me, it was really mind-blowing, because it was so genuine. I mean, it was so nice to hear your story, because you come from somewhere totally different what we would think about. And especially with the story with your 15 years old yourself. And at some point, I just missed something, and this is somehow relating to Dennis, what he said. And I would like to provocate you a little bit to trigger a kind of a thought from your side, how you see it, because you didn't have any plan. I mean, I try to first recap what you said, but you didn't have any plan. You have, instead of a plan, you have a target where you want to be, basically. And for that, that the tool is to get skills. So you started to learn. You also choose a tool like blogging on LinkedIn. In the same time, you have been officially employed. You got redundant. You went on with blogging. You got some queries from other companies, but you went on with freelancing. So I have in mind, you have a target, you have the tools for that. You had your action, obviously, but I would like to know how you see what else you need, because skills, you mean hard skills, obviously. But what I'm missing here is the soft skills, what you were not talking so explicitly about. But I see that, and this is where it links to Dennis, that you are 1 out of 100,000 in that case. I mean, it's inspirational, motivational for everyone, but you cannot take it as a pattern, just like that, okay, this is how Curtis did, I can do the same, because we all have different foundations. And this foundation, I would like to know. I mean, what is your trick? What do you think your trick is as a foundation? And I mean, under like mindset. So how do you describe your mindset, for example, in that respect? Is it determination? Is it discipline? Is it goal focused? Obviously talent. So I don't think, because I think it is also important that you have to have the seed in yourself to get there, where your target is or your goal is. And especially as a freelancer, I mean, you have, if I think about only like an ordinary people, I can study a lot of things. I can have the skills, the hard skills, what brings me to a job. But if I don't have experience, then what can I do? If I don't get the chance, what can I do? So there are so many other factors. And I would like to know, first of all, your mindset, what other soft skills you think this is important in your path for, I mean, individual, in your life, in this path. And yeah, what helps you through the lows? Right. When you said that, yeah, I cannot make it, I'm not good enough. Did you even have that moment that you said, I'm not good enough, I'm not confident enough to do this step? And I understand that you made the step and get out of your comfort zone when you got redundant, when it pushed that. I mean, it was like an automatic push out from the comfort zone. So it was not a decision that, yeah, I'm stepping out, but it's much more that it triggered kind of external factors triggered living comfort zone situation where you have been. So you just reacted. It was not really an active or proactive situation. But yeah, I just want to know the trick, what you can share about yourself in that terms.
I don't think it's a trick, but well, I'd say, yeah. Have I had a moment where I feel like I can't do it? Absolutely. I didn't mention this when I was explaining my journey, but whilst I was furloughed, I volunteered for a startup, and it was meant to be like I can vaguely remember the project now, but I was going to get evaluated of how I done at the end of the month, and at the end of the month, the feedback from the CEO was basically, I think you should go back to school, and I think you can get you get the gist of what he was trying to say. Like, this is trash, and the thing about it is, I know that I really need to be free. Oh, okay, wait. Maybe this is what the trick is. I'm not sure. Maybe this is what the trick is. But I really want to get things done on my own. But at the same time, I'm aware I can't do everything by myself, if that makes sense. So I will do everything I can to learn what I need to know to get me to wherever I wanted to be. And the next bit is I would look for someone who can do it already and just copy them. But obviously this is like, you see, after speaking to, like, hearing from what Dennis has had to say, I've always just felt like this was something natural that occurs, where you can just look at someone and say, hey, I'm going to do that. Like, but that's actually how I do stuff. Like, okay, I'll give you another example. When I was learning how to drive, I actually just used to watch, like, my dad do the pedals on the clutch and the accelerator. So one time my brother left his car and went to university, and we look alike a bit, but I was maybe 16 at the time, so I was under the limit. under the age to be driving, and I took his car and just started copying what my dad was doing with his foot, and it worked. I didn't crash or anything. But like I guess when I want to do something, I'm not afraid to just do it. Like, it's just because obviously thinking back now, I could have got arrested, I could have crashed his car, I could have, there so many things could have gone wrong in that moment, but it didn't seem risky at all at the time. And in terms of like the soft skills, this is going to sound extremely creepy. I learned my soft skills from being in a cult. It is literally it, because if you think what a cult is a bunch of people. I was one of the leaders in the cult. I've actually got my certificates up here. And it's a bit weird why I've kept them and all of these things, but oh, is that to Tom?
Sorry, we all
Curtis.
say bye to Dennis when he leaves for soup.
Time. It's soup time. It's soup time.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you so much.
Curtis, I really love you.
Take care, man.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, sorry about that, Maggie. In terms of like the social dynamics, like the soft skills that you would say, I learned it from being in the cult. I was a higher ranking member of the cult, so I had responsibility over about 70 people that I would like teach. It was my responsibility to teach them. And when you get loads of different people from different environments coming to you, sharing problems with you, you start learning how people are. Like, you just learn a bit more about people. And I think from being in that predicament, I learned how to like quickly just adjust myself to different situations and different scenarios, and it's made it easy. So I what I'll do is when I can, I will drop into like little conferences or talks. I don't know if many of you know about Harpreet Sahota. He has the Artist of Data Science show. I would drop in and I'll try and act invisible and just listen to what everyone else is saying. Or I would, if I can't do that live, I would listen to the playback on YouTube and just hear, how are these people talking? What are they talking about? What is important? What keeps coming up? What's interesting? And you know, I guess I learned that, like, because at the end of the day, one thing I'm sure of, I'm very sure of, as much as we may be AI bots, each and every individual one of us, we are humans first, and we have emotions. We have things that press on us that, you know, it probably wouldn't press on an artificial intelligence. Maybe that's what the AGI will reach to, but we as humans now, when we interact as people, not as machines. So I never really sat down and practiced social skills or soft skills, you call it. I just observed and listened to what other people have to say. Yeah. I have I answered what you was asking me?
Yes, I think.
Yeah. Well, even.
Yeah, just go ahead, Manpreet.
No, I was just saying that even developed with people and leadership skills, and very important to separate when presenting yourself to others, that you're open to learning always. I guess if we had Raja do something, so let's do something.
Sorry, the microphone was just breaking up a little bit.
Manpreet, we are not able to hear you. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Manpreet. Hello, this is Kudumuru Raja. I'm a recent graduate of 2021. As previously, we have talked about visualization. See, basically, visualization is a God's gift, but to improve it, we should know. We should.
Kudumuru, I beg your forgiveness here. We need to if Manpreet can't talk right now, we need to take the questions in order. So please.
Yeah, he was in order. He was in between, he said it. So he
Forgive me.
wanted to speak.
Excellent. I will let you take control again, Manpreet. I just thought we couldn't hear you. Sorry, Kodamuru.
I think you're mute if you're speaking.
You mute, Kodomuro. You mute. Kodomuro, you mute.
We might take Gate. He was on the line next. So, what's your question for Curtis?
Me or Freeland? Okay, I maybe I don't have a question. I have a comment, small comment. When we are talking about the target and the plan, I think in life we have a target. The plan we have it when we are in the field. That means when we are facing something. If let's back to the football mentality, let's say we have the plan when we have a match, but during our week, we are training, we are practicing, we are learning something new. So this is how I can understand the target and the plan. And this is, I think it's in general, we can say it as a mentality, not only football mentality. This is my only comment. It's coming from Magdi question. We don't have to create plan for our life. We have to create a target and do whatever needed to meet that target. When we have a plan, maybe when we are working on a project or when we are looking for a job, because this is our target, or when we are, say, we can break down the plan smaller and smaller according to what's the situation. And sometimes it will be just only one action we have to do. So the plan, it's related to the challenge. That means when we are on the field. But the target, it's something that managing our whole life. This is how can I say it. I don't know if you, Curtis, agree with me or not. This is my vision about it.
No, absolutely. I remember my coach when we was playing football would say to me, the minute we get out there is in your hands. He can tell us what to do as much as he wants whilst we're on the training pitch. But once we get out there, we are all individual people as well. Our jobs is to express ourselves within the value system that we've built within the week. So yes, we've got a target. We want to win the game. We want to play a certain way. We want to do X, Y, and Z. But we've also got a value system that we adhere to. You can't break outside of that value system. So if the value systems, everybody must run as hard as they can, or everybody must, whatever, just we'll use the running example. Everybody must run as hard as they can. That criteria has to be met. Everything else outside of that, as long as you're sticking to the game plan, your job is to just express yourself along the journey. So yeah, totally what you're saying, like you have your target, the plan is there, but you're also fluid. You're like water. You can adapt and adjust to things because things will be thrown at you. So yeah, I totally agree with you. But it says your name is Payan Ambassador, AI Ambassador, so I don't know if that's your real name.
Yeah, my name is Rave. Okay.
Rave.
Yes, I'm because this account is hosting the sessions. That's why I will change it right now.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So we have next question from Vedant. So Vedant, you can ask your question.
Okay. So, am I audible to you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, hi, Curtis. I have one question. A person like a fresher who is jumping into a field, like for example, data science. So, data science is a very it is a whole big world. So, it has so many different paths. So, when we talk about platforms like LinkedIn and we see people from same domain, but they are working on in different things. So, what is the path that you they are achieving into something and they have achieved, and then we see their achievements and then we start working how they followed, and next day we see another person and then we follow that thing. So how did you uh, took up what's your take on it, if you get my question?
I if I understand correctly, is that there's so many different voices to select from that it can be easy to just be swayed each and every way. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I was just saying that in a like example data science field, it is a very vast field. So like you are working like something X, and like person we are like LinkedIn, we see different people's working on different things, and then we start working like following their path, and next day we see different person, and then we start following their path. So like we feel that we aren't like able to achieve anything. So like what's your take on this point?
Yeah, just get off so LinkedIn. Don't be on it for too long. That's one solution. But another solution would just be identify somebody, you know. I mean, when I was first learning like the machine learning and deep learning stuff, I said, I don't really, this works for me, but it may not work for everybody. But when I was learning the machine learning and deep learning side of things, I said, I'm not going to listen to anyone else apart from Andrew NG, because I can understand his voice. When he breaks things down, it makes sense to me. But I might listen to someone who's extremely smart, like I don't know if you know Cassie from, is it from Google?
From Google.
From Google, yeah. I don't know if you know Cassie, extremely smart, but I can't understand when she speaks. It doesn't resonate with me. So I was just like, and this is not a discredit to her, because I'm sure she knows who her target audience is when she speaks. And it's probably just not me. But when Andrew NG speaks, it resonates with me. So I'll just blank out everybody else and say, this is who I'm going to learn this skill from. I want to learn machine learning, deep learning from Andrew NG. That's who I'm listening to. Everyone else, I appreciate you, but I'm listening to you. But yeah, it is navigating the social media life. You've really got to just take time where you're just like, yeah, I'm not going on social media for a week. Like, just leave it, because it can be draining. It might seem like I'm on there a lot because I share my content on there, but it's probably my least used app. I literally come on it, set what I need to post, and I'm off. But yeah, that's probably my best solution for it.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. That answers my question.
That's right. Thank you. Nice to speak to you, Vida.
Yeah. Next in line, we have George with us, waiting to ask what he wants to.
Hi,
George.
hi, how are you? I came in 2 weeks ago and then I disappeared for a bit, but I'm back now. I really enjoyed the group. I actually feel like Thomas' hand was up before mine, but I will take the time. But what I'm hearing from Curtis is like if you think about the things that you do so well, you didn't really think about them when you're learning. So like you're walking or you're breathing or the way you eat or the way your accent, you don't even think about it. So I think sometimes like when um, when you put when you make it a task, okay, when you make it a chore, it kind of comes in between. So like if I give you an example of SQL and NoSQL, or maybe like if you're making a hypothesis for a research, and then you want the research to validate the hypothesis, you'll have a hard time to validate the hypothesis because you want the data to fit. But like if you go with an open mind and try to just be an explorer, I think it's much more easy. So like giving my is all this is take I started with the AI and artificial intelligence maybe like 5 years ago, but like all that time I was actually trying so hard to learn. Like I was trying so hard to be a thing. So like it was like I had this picture of an AI guru, and I was trying to fit myself inside that picture. Maybe taking time off, like what I've learned is it's something that just comes to you with the more you just do it, the more it's like an acquired taste. So the more you kind of do it, is the more it makes sense to you. I don't know if that's what Curtis is going with, I know we can say like there's some people who are like this and some people who are like this, but I kind of believe like we all have the ability, only that sometimes our method is more geared towards like, it's like you example, if you're small and you try so hard, you don't stop. Like if you just release yourself and maybe develop a new habit, it's much more easier. Like you develop a habit for what you equate for smoking, for example, it's much more easier for you to live. So I think that's what you're trying to say, Curtis. If
I don't know if you're still speaking, but thank you, George. And what you're saying is, I wanted to show you guys this book. It's by a lady called Barbara Oakley. It's called Learning How to Learn, and is some of us might think that the book is like for kids because she addresses the book to teenagers, so it's written quite kiddie, childish. But I remember reading it and it said something along the lines of like, your environment when you're trying to learn something new is when you're trying to learn something new, your emotions, how you feel in the environment you're in, will be associated to what you're trying to learn, which makes it easier or harder for what you're trying to learn. So if you're upset, if you're agitated, if you're sad or something like that, if you're in a bad mood and you're trying to learn something new, you're going to learn in that state, and that's the state that's going to adapt. So the next time it's time to learn that topic, that's how you're going to feel. Like you're going to feel crap. So she talks about always trying to put yourself in a state where it's conducive for learning, because you take in more. So absolutely, George, literally is totally what you were saying. Like there's a state, like putting yourself in a certain room, like you've got to have your, everyone in my house knows this place in my room is my sanctuary. Nobody's allowed to sit in my chair. No one can touch my table. This is my space, this little square. And that's my bed actually. But this is my office. Like, and every time I make sure I set the mood before I come and sit in here, because when I sit in here, it's time to work. So I'm trying to dissociate my mind from certain environments. So like, for instance, the minute I get in my bed, I should feel tired because that's the place where I'm meant to be sleeping. The minute I get to the gym, I should feel energized because that's the place I want to be working out. So it's about creating these environments for you to be, just to prepare yourself to do the activity it is you need to do. So absolutely, George, literally is, yeah, if you're looking for the book, it's called Learning How to Learn by Barbara Oakley. And I think there's another author, Terence Sejanowski. It's a very, very good book. People may think it's for kids, but hey, I swear, I think it's TikTok. Thank you, George. That's a really nice contribution. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Nice. I think most of will now go and learn this book, learn from this book. Next in line, we have Sarah.
Hello?
Yeah, you're audible.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Actually, I need for motivation, especially as I told Tom before, I'm fresh to the software field. I'm a fresh graduate electrical engineer, and I didn't find my path. But Tom thankfully sent me so many links and told me how to start. But I don't know if this field might fit me, especially I'm the person who like to feel things by touching. I like to feel the pen, the papers and the desk and so on. And with the online teaching and so on, I cannot find myself. I cannot learn online. I'm trying to motivate myself, but going on a path lonely and you can't just, I don't know how to describe it, but I think that I'm distracted and I'm going in so many fields and don't know what to do actually, and I can't find my target. And I don't want to waste my time for so long, especially I've been 1 year graduated from my university, and I don't want to waste more time. Can you just tell me what to do? And I don't know how to describe it more.
Hi. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't want to say that I understand you, like, because I've been there or something like that. But I had a similar scenario where when I left the cult, I don't know, you guys probably wouldn't know what it's like to leave a cult. It's realizing that you've been lied to your life and putting your whole trust into something, expecting it to take you somewhere, and for it to be like the end goal. So I try to equate that to like being at university, and obviously I wouldn't know what it's like to be at university because I've never been, but I equate it like that because I know that there's so many students that think of university as, when I do this, this is what's going to take me in my career to where it is I want to go to. But that's not necessarily the case. So what worked for me when I left was because I was I was in this state where I felt like I'd wasted 4 years of my life doing nothing in a cult, just wasted years. So I was trying to be fast and say, yeah, I want to make this happen by this year or next year, this year. Relax. Just relax. Go. 1 second. 1 second, I'm gonna call. No. So I would say what you want to do is just take your time, and if you can, go to somewhere remote. Go to somewhere remote. This works for me, by the way. So I can't exactly tell you what makes you comfortable in your situation. When I went somewhere remote, I would detach from work, detach from social media, detach from everything, and just take in the present moment. Think about now and don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. Just think about now. And you will get an idea of what it is you're interested in, and only do what you're interested in. That's what's helped me. I can't exactly tell you do X, Y, and Z, because you've also got to think like, what state is it where I'm more comfortable to relax? You'll be wasting more time trying to do everything and find out what it is you want to do. You're better off just stopping everything and taking time to think and relax now, and it'll probably help, because what makes everything crazy. I didn't share my age, but I'm probably the same age as most of you guys. I'm actually 24, so I think I would have been, if I was in the university, I would have been finishing maybe a master's by now, or that sort of age group. So yeah, I just trying to relate the two. I would say, yeah, you need, don't worry about the future so much. So now we're young, and my parents always used to say it to me, and I never really got it until I got it. Like, I don't have as much responsibility as some other people. I'm in a fortunate position. I don't know about your position, but relax. There's no rush, and even if so, who's it for? Like, are you trying to impress somebody else? Why not try to impress yourself first? And that I don't. I hope I've answered your question. So
Yes, I think this might be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, maybe adding to this, what makes you happy while you're doing it. And like, if you're doing something and if you share it with people and you find joy in it, you never know, you might like doing it. That's what I think. Next in line, we have Brinda. So yeah, Brinda.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
So, hi, I'm a second year data science student, and I wanted to ask you that what kinds of projects should I work on to have a brighter future in data science?
Hi, Brenda. I'm probably going to give you the vaguest answer in the world because it is a very vague question. My answer is, you've got to work on the project that makes you as valuable as possible, because the one project you do isn't going to take you to where you want to go. okay, wait, let me step back and try and picture this there. I actually wrote an article. It's called the best project you can do in data science. And for me, I feel as though the best project in data science is the project of developing myself, because that is really a project and businesses will pay for it. So it's not go and get this data set or go and get that data set. Is what do I need to do now for me to improve where I can go? So you said you're a second year student of data science, right? Right.
Yes, yes.
So like what can you do now to make you stick out from the other people in your class? What can you share? What can you help? Like and it goes back to like just thinking the minute you leave school, you're no longer just writing theories to get a grade anymore. You're gonna be solving problems for real people, like real people. So why not get ahead of everybody else by trying to help people now with what you're learning? And so like if you ask me, that would be your project. And I know it's a very vague answer because I'm not telling you to go and take an X data set and then do some feature engineering, because I personally believe that stuff is very superficial. And people get quite obsessed with the project to do rather than seeing the bigger picture. Because what happens when you get a job? Are you just going to just get a job? It's now about, can I go to the next level and become well, obviously this is maybe my optimistic thinking, but can I get to the next level and become a CEO? So why can't I just start developing myself as if I'm going to be a CEO from now and sharing what I'm learning and stuff like that? So yeah, I'm sorry it's so vague, Brenda.
Also, I wanted to ask you that I'm thinking of pursuing MS or PhD. I'm really confused. What should I go for, PhD or masters? Because I'm really interested in both.
I am not the guy to answer this one. I am so sorry. I'm very, very uneducated. Well, academically uneducated. I am not the person to ask. I'm sorry about that.
But your story was really inspiring.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have the last question for today by Sam Manur.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, like, how much time did it take for you to complete your Medium post at first? Because I'm also writing some Medium posts myself, but it takes time. Like sometimes it takes weeks for me to cover the subject because even if I'm writing in 101 level, I'm trying to learn it, ingest it myself, and then try to explain it to others. I wanted to ask which one is more important, the quality or the quantity?
Quality. My first let me see if I can get my screen up now. I'll show you how many posts I made in my first few months. Just bear with me. 1 second. Okay, sweet. So in my first month was actually January of 2020. I deleted everything in January 2020 because I was embarrassed. So you can only see records of February. I wrote 3 articles in February. That's because one article would take me a week. And the next month I wrote 2 articles. And that's because one article took me 2 weeks. And then the next month I wrote another 2 articles. Also took me 2 weeks. But as I got more and more confident, this was one article a week, and then 1 and a bit more articles a week, and then 3 articles a week. So it was a gradual process. I wouldn't recommend anybody just start mashing out content if you've never been a blogger before. I've never been a blogger. I've never been a writer or anything like that. take your time and learn at your pace. Because remember, as much as you're doing this to share like and help other people, let's be honest, we've got to be a bit selfish and think this is for me. I'm not trying to show people how smart I am. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to better myself. But in the process, I can help others with sharing what I'm doing. That's kind of the mindset. Like if I'm writing a blog post, if it's reflective, like I'm sharing something I've experienced or something like that, that's also like training for me, because I can look at myself and evaluate myself, see what I've done, like monitor my processes and my thought patterns and however I've gone about things. But if I'm writing a technical blog, I'm learning it myself. I want to teach it to myself as I want to teach it like I'm learning it, if that makes sense. And if there's a gap, if it means that it takes 1 week for me to go and fill in that gap, I will take that time to go and fill in the gap.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. So I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Before we end this session, I would like Tom to summarize and give his insights to the session.
Curtis, most importantly, thank you so much for being so raw and open. That's what we need with each other. Every time I hear someone express being overwhelmed or feeling they're in imposter syndrome, I just want to grab them and hug them and say, please don't do that to yourself. Just enjoy growing. And some thoughts, Sarah, and this is directed to you because I can really, really appreciate how you're feeling right now. And I wish I could help you see how well prepared you are to enter data science because of your electrical engineering background. But I want to remind everyone, this really is like a very long hike. I mean, a hike that would take you years. And worrying about being 300 miles from where you are now is not going to help you. And Curtis, I loved what you were saying, quality. I would only add quality on the basics. Start with linear regression and decision trees and really understand them, how to apply them. You're not going to be mastering a machine learning pipeline tomorrow if you're just starting out. Understand the importance of cleaning the data, encoding text into numbers, scaling your features. Learn it in steps. Learn how to detect collinearity, how to deal with it. Take all these things in small steps. And Sarah, that blog post I sent you on your personalized learning plan, it actually does suggest a beginning learning plan. But pretty soon we will post a suggested initial learning plan for everyone. And Kimberly will make sure that I follow through on that. Or I'll make Kimberly do it herself, one of the two. Just messing with you. But yes, please, guys, when you feel overwhelmed, it's probably an indication that you should go take a break or take a nap or eat a good meal or go hang out with friends. And then, but guys, you will need grit to get to where Curtis is. You're going to have to exercise grit. You're going to have to, after that rest, say, okay, wait for that moment of motivation to get back to your studies and your practice and get back to it. And don't be afraid. A lot of times people think, oh, what materials should I start with? About at least 3 to 5 different ones, actually. And I love what you said, Curtis. For me, I need to listen to Andrew, but I've never heard one of his courses. However, when I hear Cassie, or from Google, the chief decision officer, I love the way she talks statistics. She brings it down to grandma level, and I love that about her. But I know one of my favorite gurus in in the web space for teaching machine learning and AI is the lazy programmer. Why? Because he goes at it from scratch without modules. And that's the way I like to learn too, but that's not for everyone. In fact, I would say if you're not good at Python yet, and you don't know a little bit of linear algebra and a little bit of calculus and a little bit of this and that, maybe not good to start out with the lazy programmer. But if you have some formal education in calculus and linear algebra and programming, dive right in with him. But he's not going to hold your hand much. He's going to push you to understand, okay, you know the concepts now go code it. Don't look at my code right away. So Curtis, love your journey. And I hope you'll keep moving and keep inspiring everyone. And guys, sometimes I think I've learned a lot in my career, and I had a great beginning, and getting my PhD was a blast. But I have no doubt that Curtis, you don't have a technical degree, correct?
I don't know.
And by the way, Andrew Jones doesn't. So if you want to criticize, if anyone is thinking critically of Curtis in their hearts, then you would have to criticize my dear friend, Andrew Jones, and look up to his 6'6" frame and tell him, I don't like the way you started. Look at where Andrew is now. He's got his own material that people deeply respect. Kimberly, I think you're in Andrew Jones's Data Science Infinity materials. The guy's the bomb. He's great. But he started out just like Curtis. So, and look at where he's at. So that's why when people say, should I get a master's? Should I get a PhD? Well, if you want to, but you don't have to. But Curtis is doing all the right things to get noticed as a grower. Let me say that again. He's doing everything right to get noticed as a grower in our field. And Curtis, please take this the right way. Yeah. If I see you taking a break, that's great. But if I see you taking too long a sabbatical, I'm going to come over to Britain and beat the shit out of you. You keep going, dude. I need to see you keep going. I need to see it.
Thank you. I'll keep that in the back of my mind every time I get.
I'm going on mute.
We have, so Tom, should we end this session or we take up the last two questions?
I think you failed to remember that you're the head dudette in charge today, so that's up to you. Oh, Curtis, I did have one last question. Forgive me.
Yeah, sure.
Are you finding, so you said you were kind of trying to emulate me. I would encourage you to emulate Dennis. I would encourage you to make friends with Marchand Beards. That won't be easy to mind meld with him. I'll send you his name in a direct message. We're hoping to get him in our family living room here. But Curtis, are you finding that the conceptual side of your brain with respect to machine learning and data science is blossoming, where you're getting your own insights that you want to go search and explore?
I kind of subdue that deliberately, only because I know in terms of like practically, I'm not in a position where I want to be. Like there's a lot more hands-on stuff that I want to be doing. At the moment, I'm learning about like the operations side of machine learning now, and yeah, I've been doing a lot of contract work for people so that I could learn all the stuff, but I haven't hands-on got involved with it and like for stuff like that. So
let me repose my question.
Right.
Are you finding that you're having these great moments of insight, like, oh, I see that so much better now?
Oh, yeah. Like now when I come back to things that were like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I'm almost like, well, I was so dumb. Like when I went back, like I mentioned about that time I got blasted when I made mistakes about linear regression. I went back and I read so much about linear regression that when I came to go and read about deep learning, it was like, is this what everyone's calling hard? Like, it really opened up my eyes. Like, it really, really opened up my eyes.
I specifically love that part of your story where you took the harsh feedback and you saw it as people actually trying to help you. My hat was majorly off to you for that. It was so good. But I just wanted to point out to people, you can experience what Curtis is experiencing now, that when you get to that point in your education of the ahas, the insights, but what Curtis was saying, aim for the quality, but I would even add, aim for the quality at the basics, because then once you have quality and insights in those basics, like let's say in linear regression, now you've added lasso, now you're moving ahead and you move to logistic regression, and then you get into neural networks, you'll realize, oh, I've already learned this. It's just a network of logistic regression things. And these levels of insights are self-inspiring. I think that's what Curtis and I would both want to share with you today. Now I'm going to go mute. Manpreet, you're in charge.
Yeah. Well, Curtis, this is the first time that Thomas spoke so less in any session. Moving ahead, we have Akib and then Guess for the question.
Hi, everybody.
I
just want to say, yeah, today's session was really very great. Curtis, your story is really inspiring. So actually, I can relate with you because I myself come from a very different background. I'm from non-technical background, so I came to this domain, and I'm still in the progress of learning. So my question is to you is, how do you see yourself, like in 1 month, 1 year, or 5 years, and where do you see yourself, and most importantly, why do you see yourself in future? And
right,
yeah.
Great question. So for now, I think I mentioned just a few seconds ago that I was learning the operation side of it. I want to be more hands-on with like taking models from research into production, and so I'm learning a lot about it now, and I've been actually writing about it much more for clients. So, well, when you write a lot of stuff, when you share a lot of stuff, people come to you with loads of things. So people always ask me like, yeah, I've got some articles. Can you write something about MLOps for me? Listen, I don't know a thing about MLOps, but I can write. So I'll research it, and then I'll use that as my time to like try things out as I'm reading along and go with it. But yeah, I would say within a month, I probably want to be like, deploying more machine learning models, not necessarily for anybody. Like I like to start with myself, the same way I started with my blog for myself. I would start like deploying little things for myself. Like, is there something around the house that I can just, maybe ship a model for, like, or is there something that I know I could use for machine learning? And then I'll share it with people. Maybe in the distant future, you also asked, distant future, I'll probably say, let's see when we get there. I don't know. But I do definitely feel like there's a lot of room for like maybe more strategy where I can just, have that practical side of me, but there's also the strategic side who can now add opinions and suggestions into the whole machine learning workflow.
Yes, brother, I got you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Guess.
Actually, hi, my name is Gus. I don't have a question, actually. I just want to thank you because your story is something that I'm going to use to convince someone that we're trying to bring on board my team. It was, we have an amazing interview. The guy was more or less like you. He doesn't have technical knowledge, but he knows a lot about data science. I can tell you, he knows a lot of concepts. And we were interviewing him yesterday. One of the members who were on the interview, believe me, it was awful, slacking him off completely. The guy was like, I'm sorry, but I'm just about to turn off this phone call because that question in particular put me off. the member of one of the member of my team asking a very technical question when we already were aware of that he was not as technical as me possibly, but he was someone with that can-do attitude like you, for example. I just want to thank you because I'm going to show him this. Believe me, it was something. It was a very awkward situation, I have to say. But in the end, we ended up rescuing the interview, and we saved him. I mean, he was completely. He got in shock after the question. He was completely disconnected. He lost the kind of presentation he was going to do. He lost the strategy. But then when I started to say, like, look, mate, don't worry. I mean, we are aware that you don't have the technical skills, but it was it was really, really awful, I have to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show him your video now because it's inspiring, as many have been praising you. And I can see him like you, I have to say. So thank you.
I really appreciate that, Gus. You know, the first thing I say to people is, look, if I was to ever have a job interview, I'll probably fail it, but I can definitely deploy a model for you if you want. Like, so I you see, it sounds dumb. Like because I feel like the interview process is so detached from doing the actual job. Like, it's just, who cares? Like, I always try to skip it with any job that I get. Like, so if they're asking me to interview, I'm not interested. Like, I really want to be doing the things that I know you guys want me because you know I can do this for you.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Really, thank you. I'm going to show him this because he was like, he nearly cried, just to give you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah, to that, I mean, the question was so strong and very awkward that he got to the point that he nearly cried.
Wow.
Seriously, horrible. I was feeling uncomfortable, I had to say. But yeah, we rescued him. I mean, we got him back into the thing that he wanted to expose, but it was really amazing. It was more or less like that, the same attitude like you. I mean, with telling everything about concepts and all that. Beautiful. But thank you.
Take care, Gus. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And now we have Ray to summarize the whole session. And thank you so much, Rutus, and to you, Kate. Now.
Oh, sorry, I'm not intending to summarize the session. I'm sorry. Thank you, Curtis, first. Was great. And just I have one comment about Sarah's question because I was checking the chat. Sarah, for software development, software engineering field, I think the first entrance you have to do, this is my experience about it, this is how I learned it, and it was my study, but I have to say that. Pick a project, pick one idea that you feel interested about it and try to achieve it to the end. Not big project, mid-size, not small project. Collect all the knowledge needed for that and try to finish it. Once you finish it, you finish the first step. Once you have your achievement, you can decide at that point if this is really interesting for you or not. Because I feel it's not about you are not ready to go. You don't know if you like this field or not. To know about that, you have to achieve something first. This is my suggestion for Sarah. This is the only thing. Pick an idea. It's not necessarily to be AI or machine learning. Any software development, any small system that only pushing some values to the database and then showing some reports. Anything you feel interested about it and create software for it. And collect all the needed knowledge for that. This is for Sarah. If I'm talking about this session, I don't think there's anybody able to summarize it better than Cortes himself. Cortes, last word from your side, if it's possible.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Curtis, and thank you so much all the family members for joining us on weekend. And I hope you had a great learning session. And as Curtis said, it's always a learning, so he might have enjoyed learning from us as well. Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon next Saturday. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Manpreet.
Thank you, Manfred.
Thank you, everyone. I'm
Thank
sorry
you,
for being
everyone.
late. I enjoyed it. And thank you again, Curtis.
Thank you, everyone, for helping. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.